All right. Um, so it is a little past 6:30, so we'll get started. Thank you all so much for being here. My name is Hannah King, and I am the Associate Director of the Office of Student Life and Wellbeing. Um, and so you'll see throughout our presentation, we are different from the Wellness Center, which has counseling and health services. And we're really focused on supporting the well-being of students so that they can thrive on campus. Our goal is really to make sure that they kind of can become the best versions of themselves. And um, yeah, I'm just excited to be here. Marshall's going to monitor the waiting room because I know folks are still joining us. But I really want this presentation to be interactive, to learn a little bit about some of the things that you all care about with your students, and then share a little bit about what our office has to offer. So, um, so my first question, if you all wouldn't mind putting in the chat, when you think about your student thriving in college, what comes to mind? That's kind of like the language that we're starting to use. It's like this idea of thriving, is it's what we think of a student who's well, who has positive well-being. We think they're thriving on campus. So I'm just curious what that looks like for you all. And you can just throw it in the chat. Managing their time, absolutely. That's a huge one. And there's no right or wrong answer. Happy, healthy, and surrounded by a great community. Absolutely. You used some of the language that we're using in our new framework that I'll share. So 100%. What else? I'll give it 30 more seconds for anyone else. I know folks are kind of hopping in. Being happy, learning, and enjoying their life with studies, activities, and friendships. Yeah, managing all of those things and having kind of a healthy balance and just being happy. We want our students to be happy. Feeling comfortable managing classes, knowing what to do. Um, a big part of our office is supporting students' resiliency, giving them the skills that they need to come to solutions to their own problems that they face. Um, absolutely. Any last thoughts on this before we move on? Oh, got one more. Becoming responsible to manage decisions, food, laundry, finances, etc. Absolutely. All of that fits into what makes a student's well-being. Um, thank you all for sharing that. And we'll come back to the chat in just a minute. Um, but I really wanted to share about the Office of Student Life and Wellbeing's framework. Um, we are launching a new framework this year called Healthy Connected Thriving. And so it's a lot of the language that you all use. We believe a student that has positive well-being is somebody that has healthy habits, that is connected to um, others, to the community, to the world around them, to themselves and their own emotions. And ultimately, we believe that with those tools, they are able to thrive on campus and beyond. And that looks like everything you just said. It's people who are happy, students who are managing their time well, they're succeeding in classes, they're, figuring out their long-term career goal, they're making mistakes and learning from them. All of that kind of ties into what we believe supports student well-being. And so, a couple things I wanted to touch on as the Office of Student Life and Wellbeing. I mentioned that we're different from the Wellness Center. So, we are a part of a network called the Health Promoting Campuses Network. And back in 2022, we became the first health promoting campus in New England. So, our chancellor, our entire, campus wide took an oath to make our college support the health of our students. Um, that looks like evaluating policies and practices to make sure that they're supporting student health and well-being, looking at the built environment to support student health and well-being. So I always tell folks that choosing UMass Lowell, you're choosing health and you're choosing well-being. And we're like the leaders and innovators in this space in New England. A lot of schools have followed suit since, but we're really kind of building this from the ground up. And because of that, well-being is really a campus-wide commitment. We all care about the students and we care about their well-being. And it's um, very present in faculty members who are reporting concerns that a student, isn't themselves in class or they're not showing up to class. I like to share that even the groundskeeper is probably one of the biggest champions for well-being on campus. He and I do a lot of projects together, creating opportunities for students to connect with nature, especially in a city environment. We are always planting tulips on North Campus as part of mental health awareness events. And so we really all care about the students. We care about their health and we care about their well being. And so we're really trying to create conditions where students can be healthy, get connected, and thrive. And so sometimes that looks like resources, which I'll share today. Um, but there's also things that we're kind of doing behind the scenes, like looking at the built environment of campus. Like, are the classrooms supporting the well-being of students? Are these policies outdated? And those have an even longer term effect on student well-being. So before we move on, kind of the flip side, I'm curious to know what concerns you have about your students' well-being when they're starting college. So same thing, you can just throw things in the chat. I know I have concerns about our students. Finding a group of friends, absolutely. That's definitely a valid concern about, and it fits right into well-being. The kind of welcome they will get from their seniors, absolutely, yeah. Um, Kind of just like feeling like you fit into a community that kind of has it figured out. A lot of students worry about that. And sometimes it's not even true. They think like everyone else around me has it figured out and I don't. Being able to talk and engage with professors, absolutely, we support students in that. Tracking grades and assignments and not falling behind. I have a lot of conversations with students about getting them support early so they don't fall behind. How to access a therapist while in school. Yep, absolutely. We can definitely support that. We are, you'll see, we're kind of like a direct pipeline to some of the resources on campus, like health services, counseling services, managing day commuter and full-time residential student groups. Yeah, yeah. We have a lot of commuters, and so sometimes they're the honestly the most involved students on campus. Um, but just managing what that looks like. Are they, the commuters together? Are the residential students together? Absolutely. Give it like 30 more seconds in case anyone has safety and security, late night meals and walks around campus. Yeah, these are all valid concerns and all things we talk about. When I say well-being is everyone's job, it is everyone's job. It's security, it's the wellness center, it's the faculty, it's the professors, it's student life and involvement. It's all of us. Well, thank you all for sharing all of that. Um, From here on out, I don't have any more questions for you in the chat, but if you have questions, you can throw them in the chat and we'll address them at the end. Okay. So, I kind of wanted to break up that framework, healthy, connected, thriving, into kind of what we do for each of those things and give a resource highlight for each of those areas. So, um, one of the things that our office is focused on doing is supporting student health and wellness. So we're helping students form healthy habits. And then, like I mentioned, connect to campus resources. So I'm not a therapist, I'm not a nurse, but I know the resources. And so if a student comes to me and says, I'm stressed, and I have this conversation with students almost daily, it's usually not one thing that's contributing to their stress. So we kind of break it down and determine what are the resources that can help with all of these different things. Is it a financial concern? Is it your physical health? Are you not sleeping? Is it your mental health? Is it classes? Is it, you know, you're having roommate problems? Any of those things, we are kind of like the glue and we can shepherd people to the right resources without and kind of do what we call a warm handoff to make sure like, oh, okay, Hannah knows the director of counseling. She's gonna lead me right to um, counseling and tell me about the people who work there and know that I'm in good hands. Um, and then we're really teaching students to learn to prioritize self-care. So, um, one of the hardest things that I think our students struggle with in college is being a student 24/7. They don't get to go home from work and be done. They always have assignments and they always have things on their mind. And so we're really sticklers about making sure that they're creating time managing and making sure that self-care fits into that time management. What that self-care is really individual, but making sure that they form healthy habits and that they unwind in the way that works for them and that feels, you know, productive in terms of their self care. So, one resource spotlight I wanted to share is the Serenity Center. This is on the third floor of the Me and Student Center. And our when the building was created a few years back, or 10 years back at this point, it was really this wide open room and it was dedicated to private prayer. And we learned that it was vastly underutilized. It is still used for private prayer. Um, Between the hours of 12 and 2, it's closed for prayer. And on Tuesday nights, it's closed for the Muslim Student Association. But all other hours when the building's open, it's open for students to unwind and decompress. There are beanbag chairs, there are fidget toys, coloring books, sound healing, journals, Zen gardens, all kinds of things. Basically, our motto is getting students out of their head and into their body. We also have students, Serenity Center staff assistants that work in that space. It's a work study job. And they are there to help students if somebody comes in and needs to talk, they're there to talk to them. They also keep the space clean and stocked and ready so that if a student comes in and is looking for a puzzle or Legos, they know exactly where to go. Um, and those students are all designed in our resiliency framework to help a student. Sometimes a student will come in there and be crying because they had a hard day. And our students will um, talk to them, listen to them, and help support them, and then connect them to resources. And then every Wednesday from 4 to 6 p.m., we have Wellness Wednesday programming in that space. And it's really kind of a low sensory quiet, smaller group programming. So we do some sort of craft or activity every week. And usually there's conversation around it. So um, we will do like paint nights, and everyone gets a canvas and they can paint whatever they want. And then everyone forms like some natural conversation about how their week was. End up having people who are regulars at Wellness Wednesday, and they come every week. And we've seen people form a lot of friendships from those kind of like low stakes. You're not surrounded by hundreds of people. You're in this cool space, um, doing a craft, kind of chatting with the people around you, and it's really natural and organic. Um, the students love this space. We have a little survey when students leave on like how did the Serenity Center make you feel today? And 95% of students say that it supported their well-being and they felt excellent when they left. They talk a lot about the vibes of the space, just having, soft music playing, and it's quiet and it's relaxing. They really, really enjoy being able to unwind in this space. Um, Our next motto is that students need connection. Um, and I say connection because it kind of ties in three different things. Um, in my other life, I'm a yoga teacher, and so I'm always promoting to students mindfulness. We do a lot of mindfulness in the Serenity Center as well. Um, Along with that is self-awareness, so learning to recognize their own emotions and their stressors and kind of just the way that they interact with the world. And then belonging. So finding community on campus, feeling like they belong on campus, um, and feeling like they are connected to others, and are able to have that human to human connection. So, um, like I mentioned, we support their connection to themselves, others, and the world around them. And we think that students succeed when they're more present, more self aware, and find community, whether that's a club and organization, whether that's someone they run into at the Serenity Center. We've even had students who find community in the person at Starbucks who makes their coffee, or the person, the people in the dining hall who ask them how their day's going. Those little things make a huge difference in our students feeling supported and welcome on campus. And so we have an incredible team of students that are completely dedicated to supporting their peers, and they are called well-being leaders. So they are college-based peer-to-peer supports. So they are embedded into the academic colleges. So every Manning School of Business major has two dedicated well-being leaders with office hours in the PTB building where all of the business classes are. Same thing with each of the other colleges. So they're upperclassmen who have been in their shoes, who care about their peers and care about well-being, and they can support students on anything. We tell them it's, because they're well-being leaders that they go to them for well-being concerns, but because well-being ties in everything, your time management, your healthy habits, your relationships, your finances, budgeting, all of that. We say go to well-being leaders if you're stressed out, go to well-being leaders if you're feeling good and you want to feel better, go to well-being leaders if you need to manage your time. And they're trained in all of the campus resources, but they're also trained in our resiliency model. And so, what's unique about the well-being leader model is if a student comes to them and says, I'm having a bad day, they're not going to say, oh, me too, and kind of give the student solutions right away. Have you tried XYZ thing? They're going to say, tell me more. And they're going to really let the student talk. And the students that meet with the well-being leaders really report that they feel very heard. And then the students are trained in a technique to guide the student they're meeting with to the solution to their own struggle or to a new perspective or a new insight. And then after that conversation, they might say, have you thought about trying counseling? Or did you know that we have group fitness classes at the rec center? But they're we've seen the data from this model shows that the end user, the person who went in originally saying, I'm having such a bad day, ends up having a boost in resiliency skills and um, are able to kind of find shifts in perspective, kind of disarm their emotions or their stress so that they can move forward. Um, and the well-being leader role is a really cool job for sophomores and above. It's a paid position, and so the students that do it really love it. They get to meet one on one with the students in their academic college, so students can book an appointment with a well-being leader. They also write for our well-being blog, and they lead a yearly community impact project where they are trying to come to a creative solution to a well-being problem they see on campus. So we like to say that the resources on our campus are by students for students. These amazing students are the heart and soul of our office, and they are the ones out there doing the most support. I like to say they're extensions of our office on each of the academic campuses. And then the last thing is we're really creating systems for student thriving. So we are helping students build habits for long-term success. We are creating supportive environments around them. Um, Everything is designed with the students in mind, from um, the flowers that are planted on campus to the um, new building capital projects to the policies. Um, and we're really reimagining policies and practices that have existed in higher ed for years and years to ask, does this support our students' well-being? You know, is this really the best practice? For example, I am obnoxious about recommending to faculty that they have assignments due at a reasonable hour because a lot of times they think they're giving the student extra time by having an assignment due at 1, 2, 3 a.m. But we've seen that students stay up till that last hour. And so by having assignments due at 8, 9 p.m., they're giving the student the opportunity to submit their assignment and then turn off and then go to bed at a reasonable hour. So those are things that we're always looking at. And then really bringing services to the students. Um, the model in higher ed is kind of like, come to us, we can support you. But there are students that don't know about our resources. And so figuring out ways to embed the resources in the colleges and in the structures and in the places that the students already are is going to get them engaged with us more. And one resource I really wanted to highlight, especially to this group, is our online financial literacy platform called the Financial Seed. So finances are one of the biggest stressors that our college students experience. And so that's why we tie financial literacy into well-being. And we surveyed the students, and they said they want resources when it's midnight and they overdrafted their card. They want resources when their bills due. They want resources when they need them, not necessarily a workshop or something that they have to go to. And so we created the Financial Seed, and it's a customized financial wellness platform. So a student goes in, and the first thing they're prompted to do is take their financial stress score. So they're going in and answering questions like, do you have X amount of money in savings? Um, are you a student? Things like that. And then they're getting a customized kind of checklist for what their recommendations are. And it's set to give multiple different styles of learning. So there's videos, there's courses, there's articles, there's all kinds of things. They have A to Z topics. And it's gamified, which is what the students really like. So every time they interact with the platform, they grow their garden. And the more seed points and garden growth that they have, the more entries they get into $1,000 raffle. And so the students love being incentivized and having something to kind of grow through for their points. And then what I really love about this platform is there's an entire section on money mindfulness. And so that really ties into that idea of mindfulness and connection. Um, I've found that a lot of financial wellness resources are the advice is to just like get more money, pay off debt, and that's not always the case for our students. And so what this section does, the money mindfulness, is it teaches students to be okay with the stress around finances. Like maybe, we do have debt or maybe we're stressed about our bill, but let's manage the stress so that it's not impacting your ability to go to class, to make meaningful relationships, to kind of disarm that stress. It still might exist, but it's not having as much power over the students. And I'm really excited to say that this year we have officially made the platform available for family members. So you all have access to it and can make your own accounts and use it for yourselves. Um, there is an entire sections on there that don't always relate to our students. There's things on paying for, saving for goals. There's paying for a wedding. There's buying a house, saving for retirement, all kinds of things on there. And so we really wanted it to be accessible to our entire community. And so students, faculty, staff, alumni, and now family members are able to access it. So if you go to our website, uml.edu/financial seed, or uml.edu/wellbeing, and it's right on our homepage. When you create an account, you can, students will log in with their single sign on, like log in with UMass Lowell. Parents and families can make an account and then just click that they're a family member, and that grants them portal access to the portal. So we're really excited. We hope you use it. I'd love to hear feedback on what you think of it. Um, and yeah, so that's the financial seed. And then the last thing I really wanted to say is just you all are an integral part in supporting student well-being. Like I mentioned before, well-being is everyone's job. And so supporting the students is, I think, a wraparound um, mission that involves the staff, the faculty, the student themselves, and you all. So a couple of things is encouraging connection, whether that's joining organizations, attending events, building community, trying out this resource, any time that you all can, um, see everything's on Instagram, like send your student like, hey, this event looks really cool. This looks really fun. Um, Normalize help seeking. Asking for help is the number one thing that supports our students. Once they're connected to a human, we are getting them as much support as we can, but we can't help if we don't know. And so, whether they go to an RA, a faculty member, you can have them email me. Once they ask for help, we can get them the support. Um, and then stay curious. So check in about their well-being, not just, their grades. Like ask questions about like how is building community? Like how are you feeling about healthy habits? Like how are your stress levels? All of that can really help support the things that we do in our office. Um, and I also had to share a picture of our amazing therapy dogs that we have on campus all the time because they're so cute. But yeah, just looking at the time, I really wanted to leave time for questions. So um, I will stop sharing and then people can come off mute. You can put it in the chat, whatever you'd like to do I'm here we have about 15 minutes for questions. And it can be about anything.